Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. Today, Wyatt and I are going to be talking, answering the question, and conversating about why House of the Dragon has the time jump. Why do they skip so many years in the story? So, let's go ahead and roll the intro and we'll get into it. So, the thing that everyone's been talking about online, House of the Dragon, is skipping around the story. It tells us a little chunk, like a few days, and then, or sometimes a whole voyage across the sea, maybe like a month, and then it skips years. And we already saw in the last episode the infamous
The big jump.
the big jump, the real big one, the change of characters. First off, we need to answer this simple question. I'll give you the answer to it. This is a quote. The book covers 150 years and tells the story of the rise and fall of various Targaryens, monarchs ruling Westeros. Targaryen monarchs ruling Westeros. So, first off, is they have a serious issue that they had to tackle with the House of the Dragon story. It's written in a historical fashion by Martin, and so it's not like Game of Thrones. It's not characters developing in certain ways and, locations being explored in the same way that Game of Thrones was. This is literally a historical book that tells the accounts of 150 years of the Targaryen rule. That's a big deal. And you can't really tell that in traditional storytelling fashion. But I think we all have seen that they took a swing. A lot of people didn't think they could do it, but they took a swing, and at this point, 6 episodes deep, we're really enjoying it.
They also, the book is also kind of telling the story from different perspectives, different people who have written down the accounts, and so they are all kind of different and varying.
Yeah.
Some will be maesters, and some will be people who were master of whispers and stuff at the time.
Laris.
And all the accounts will be different, and favoring one side or the other,
Correct.
because it is a civil war, and you'll have people who are who may supposedly be, not on one side or the other, but favor one over the other.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot of the challenge getting into the show is how do we tell this story that is being told from multiple different points of view as a cohesive story.
Yeah.
And my theory,
Okay.
is my loose theory, is that George wrote the book to be this kind of, you don't really know what it is. You
Yeah.
don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a history. You're not supposed to know everything. So that he could do the show and show you exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Which and it may be different from what you read.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do want to read one thing to you. Speaking of the Civil War that you brought up, House of the Dragon Season 1 is a slow burn, and it's worth it because there's enough in there to keep everybody interested. Correct. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of characters being developed as we speak, week after week, Sunday after Sunday. So there's a lot to pay attention to, and there's a lot to catch up on in a short amount of time, covering a long span of time. That's kind of why it was necessary to change characters, to change actors for these characters. But look down on this page once again. I want to read this last bit. Once Civil War breaks out, however, it's likely the show's rapid timeline sprint will slow considerably. The war, titled The Dance of Dragons, was said to only last around 2 years. So we are covering, think about this, the last time jump from episode 5 to 6 was 10 years. So the Civil War is only going to cover 2 years, so we're going to be able to slow considerably down, and that's going to feel a little bit more like Game of Thrones when we reach that point.
I mean, I think we're going to have another time jump.
Yeah.
We're going to have the young characters, the children of these of the Targaryens, are going to be older in the
Yeah.
next time jump. Maybe not significantly, but they are going to be older. It's not going to happen next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's when we're really going to kick off kind of who these characters are going to be, what they're going to be doing, and the whole story.
Yeah, yeah. I think we do need these younger characters we saw in episode 6 to age up a bit for us to get to the next part of the story where they play a major role. As children, they're not going to play a major role except everybody's controversy around them, right?
Yeah.
But they themselves have to play a part in this. So, I agree with you. There is probably going to be another time jump, but we're not going to have to switch out actors again. Except for these kids, probably.
Right.
We kind of can get used to seeing the faces we saw in episode 6, I think, for the remainder of the show. And if they make another couple seasons after this, right? What did you think overall, if you're going to kind of give a review, your first impression on camera about the actor change? Specifically with, Rhaenyra, Alicent, Leonor, and Laena. What did you think? And, Leonor and Laena had actually 3 actors. Lena's youngest version came into play a little bit stronger, but there was, at the jousting, there was a young version of Leonor as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Honestly. They're good actors.
They are.
They have to pick good actors because these are going to be the actors who we see consistently for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
However long they're in the show, and so we got to get familiar with them, and they have to be good to be able to do that.
Correct.
I know everybody kind of fell in love with, young Alicent and young Rhaenyra,
especially young Rhaenyra.
People were really attached to these actresses as these characters.
Yeah.
But the older ones are who we're supposed to see.
Yeah.
And what the show is telling us, what they are asking us to understand, is that they've changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that change is who they are.
Yes.
Sure, you could have done the show with, just the younger actresses, maybe. But you wouldn't have had that. These are characters who have changed.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That's what the show is asking us to understand and believe when we go into it.
One thing that's a little different from those is that we got King Viserys.
Mm-hmm.
How they, here in episode 1, in this picture we have, he looks all young and spry.
Yeah.
And then him in episode 6, we see the same actor change drastically.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well done with his character, contrasting that hard with, give me your thoughts on this, Kristen Cole. All right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a little baby-faced in episode 2 is when they introduced him.
Yeah.
And then he's still baby-faced when everyone else is aged up.
True. But I think he's kind of...
He didn't, you don't really see the extra crow's feet he might have, You don't see the smile lines. He looks the same.
I think it's supposed to imply he's in that kind of age range of 25 when we first see him.
Mm-hmm.
And from 25 onward, you don't really change
25
much.
to 35.
Yeah, you don't change much.
Not a terrible amount.
And so I think that's kind of what they're going for with him.
That's a fine explanation.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it.
I don't know. I would have seen if we want Kristen Cole to look the actor's natural look at 35, the 10-year jump, then they should have done something to make him feel get rid of the facial hair, get rid of something to make him seem like he's in his mid-20s, he's green to this.
They should have kept him clean shaven
the
the way
whole
up
time
until the big time skip, and then had him with a beard.
That would have been a great idea.
That's what I think.
That would have been a great idea. Do you think production wouldn't allow for it? It'd be kind of hard.
I don't know.
They would have to film his stuff backwards. Like he'd have to do all of bearded stuff, and then he would have to shave and do
True.
episode 5, 4, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know. I don't know how I would have done it.
logistically.
They could have even put a little bit of gray in his hair.
Yeah, just do a touch of salt.
Yeah.
To that pepper. I think overall the show's done really well. It's clear. I'm just surprised as to how invested we are with how many years they are skipping along, and how well they're like, okay, we have to tell an episode that's going to span like the next 4 years, and it has to be important information that happens during this time. So what are we telling at this point? Because the next episode we have to do the same thing again, right? So what are they communicating that's important for you to know, so in the next episode, although time has passed, you still feel connected, like you know what's going on.
The first 5 episodes have had to be, they've had to have a lot in them because they're setting the stage for a much larger show moving forward.
Yes. And they gave us some cool stuff. They gave us the whole crab feeder issue. And although that was, nipped in the bud, it was awesome. They included in the cool things that we enjoy,
It's pretty crazy. The first half of this season feels so full. It almost feels like a full season.
It does.
I feel like we've moved to a new season.
I kind of feel like, man, this is all bonus material comes after.
I'm like, we're not going to get nearly as much story in these latter 5 episodes as we got in the first half. There's no way.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of this season, we're going to be like, wow.
Just incredible.
That was an incredible season of TV. And, look, I want to get real with the people here.
Get real, man. Get real.
A lot of people aren't recommending this to their friends.
Why is that?
After Game of Thrones season 8 left such a bad taste. A lot of people are saying, let's let the show be over before we recommend.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're missing out on such good material at the front end of this season.
But I understand the sentiment. You don't want to be the person who, it's like last time everybody recommended Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is the best, and then we got everybody hooked, and then everybody was disappointed.
Well, I wouldn't say everybody. I would just say the majority.
Yeah.
The majority was disappointed because there's some people that really love the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but Game of Thrones died.
It did.
After season 8, after it was over, it died. It was dead because it didn't end like the greatest show ever filmed should have. It died. Nobody talked about it anymore.
Correct. And it's a real tragedy. It is a real tragedy. I would say when we're contrasting this with other stuff that's coming out, we ought to be recommending this. Because even if the first 6 episodes that are out are the only ones that's good and everything else is bad, at least we got 6 awesome episodes. I mean, we don't want to settle for that kind of mentality, but gosh dang it, compared to the other stuff that's coming out at this moment, this is it. This is it.
Yeah, and I think they've definitely learned from the last series. They know that this series has to be good all the way through and end strong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm excited to see how it's going to end. I'm real excited. I have no problems with the new actors. I actually think in some ways they might, not bashing the old actors. I think I wish I had her name, but Alicent's older actor, they said in behind the scenes I watched that she is probably the most seasoned actor for the young ones of the Targaryen, the young ones in the show. And she does awesome. I kind of like her better than young Alicent as an actor. And that's not a jab.
Right.
But she's awesome.
She's very good.
I'm looking forward to see how these new same characters, different versions interact with each other, what we're going to see come out of them, and how we're going to see this story progress in relation to these new actors and remixed older versions of characters.
Give me more Daemon.
Give Daemon, show yourself more.
I mean, he's in every episode he's in. He's good.
But almost every episode we get a tiny bit of Damon doing cool stuff to let us know that he's like dangerous and cool and interesting. But the majority of what he does on screen is a lot of this.
It's so good. Last episode, he felt a little,
Tired.
But that was his character.
This character, he gets tired and he moves on. And what do you know? Death by dragon, suicide by dragon is a good out for Damon, I guess.
Well, he didn't die suicide by dragon.
Yeah, I'm talking about he gets tired and moves on.
Yeah, true.
He moved on from Lena. Spoiling. Ooh, sorry. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have information you'd like to share with us about House of the Dragon, leave it in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. We love you. We'll see you next time.